just a few status questions. Didn't see Lake out there, Cowan or Xavier Jordan.
Yeah, Xavier Jordan's sick. He'll be back. We're going to shut Lake down for the rest of spring. Got a lot of good work on him. We're going to kind of shut him down, let the body calm down. He had just a couple little small things he was dealing with kind of throughout it, kind of pushed through, but time to put some reps in these other guys. And then Lorenzo Cowan is transferring.
How about Braylon Conley?
All good. Yeah, all good. Just not here today. Yeah, I'm sick. We got a little something running through the locker room on that.
With the portal opening up this week, how much time do you find yourself spending on retaining guys or talking to them ahead of that window? And has that changed at all, especially when you consider the house settlement stuff? You know, teams maybe kind of front loading before that goes into effect. Or have you noticed?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us it's probably changed. I mean, some of the outside world maybe has affected it, but I think for us it's kind of the evolution of the program and the roster and the recruiting classes. I mean, we've got a higher percentage of guys on this field right now that this staff recruited and brought in than ever before, and so I think with that some more deep-seated relationships, and yeah, I mean, obviously everybody's aware of it. But I think, you know, if you're trying to like save something at the very end, then that's probably not a great sign, you know. So I think, you know, we're pretty secure with our players and where we're at. And I mean, not everybody knows, obviously, in this world, kind of how things are all going to play out. So certainly we got to be ready to adjust. But I think we got a pretty, you know, committed group that you know, plan on being USC Trojans, and then we'll, you know, find the right couple of guys in the portal to add and to help us get ready for the season.
Do you expect that portal market to be considerably different, just given the movement with the settlement and just the specter of revenue sharing?
Yeah, it's a little harder to predict right now, just because this market's different than ever before, and I think you could make some really good points on to why, you know, maybe there would be more players in it before, and then I actually, you know, I think there's some very legitimate points why it may be more limited than ever before too, and so. You know, it's a little tough to predict. Don't spend a ton of time predicting that. It's more about our team, what our needs are, and then if there is a real need, can we find the right fit for our program?
I know it's an open quarterback competition, but when evaluating Sam and Hassan, is anyone standing out right now for that backup job? Again, long way to go.
Yeah, I mean, we're repping all three of those guys quite a bit right now. So, you know, they've both shown why we brought him here. I mean, you know, you see Hassan's talent is you know, it stands out on the field. He's picking up the offense quickly. He's taking advantage of having come in here a little extra early, which is great. Sam has been tremendous. He's done a really good job in some of the different situational football that we've done, which is not surprising with as much ball as he's played. So I mean, all three guys have done a lot of good things that we're very excited about, and I think they've all three showed the capability, obviously, to be able to help us and be able to move this offense.
What were a few aspects of Saturday? You scrimmage on Saturday?
We did not fully scrimmage. We did a lot of team situational work.
What were some of the aspects that you were pleased with from Saturday?
Well, the first was we had over 150 former players there, and that was pretty special. You know, we didn't, other than a few recruits and some of the staff families, we didn't let anybody else in the Coliseum. We put all the former players around the field, and it was pretty cool. I know at one moment I looked over there and the DBs were doing individual, and, you know, Ronnie Lott sitting back there watching and kind of, you know, pointing out a few things here and there, and we're like, geez, you know, like, yeah, this is pretty good. This is pretty good. So it was cool to have those guys around. One of the best things was after practice, some of the staff had to get to some recruiting responsibilities, but I know a lot of our teams stayed out there with the former players for a long time, and whether it was guys they already knew or striking up new relationships or talking about what they saw in practice, just that's invaluable for us. And I think they said that was the most former players that have been back to practice in a long time. So that was a cool moment. Yeah, we got a lot of situational work in the Coliseum, which is great for us to get in there to see. It goes kind of from teaching football now in terms of, you know, a defensive scheme or an offensive scheme to being able to put it all together and being able to think fast and understand how the situations change the game. So, so many games right now, especially when you play in a really good league, come down to that. So that's been a big emphasis point for us, and I thought the guys handled it well for the first time around.
Behind Jacoby established themselves as the top two receivers at the end of last year. Who would you say, you know, halfway through spring has kind of stepped up the most to be that next guy kind of after that?
Well, Prince has had a good spring, and he's just getting better. You can tell every day there's a little more confidence in what we're doing, and not necessarily just like learning the plays, but the techniques and how we're coaching the position. And he's starting to really put it together and really shine. So I've been proud of his progress. Corey Sims has done some really good things as a true freshman. And DJ Jordan's done some really good things. He's had his most consistent set of practices, and he's a really athletic kid. After that, I mean, we've just been limited. Lemon's been down some. Jaden Richardson's been down some. He had a great start to spring. So, and then obviously we got a lot of handful of guys that'll be coming in, here in June. So, patching up kind of that depth and kind of those guys behind Jacoby and Lim will be a big focus for the end of spring and into the summer and into fall camp.
How much does an event like that, having players back, help kind of continue the legacy of USC football, especially in like a transfer portal era where that can kind of get lost?
It's really important because I think it's one of the things that sets us apart. Our alumni, our former players, with the success they had on the field. So many of those guys right now are incredibly successful off the field right now, and then so many of them are still in this area. So for us to just have a random practice on a Saturday and have over 150 guys show up is pretty special. And so there's some things about being in this program and doing it at this school in this place that only those that have like been in between the lines can really understand. And so I think the former guys enjoyed it and the chance for them to have some camaraderie, but I know it meant a lot to our players. I mean, our players were more jacked up to practice in front of those guys than everybody. I mean, we told them earlier in the week it's going to happen. I mean, literally our guys were talking about it all week, and it means a lot to this current team that to make those guys proud and to practice and play the way that a lot of them did when they wore these colors.
How does the new personnel staff affect how you recruit from the transfer portal?
Oh, it definitely affects it. I mean, our whole operation has certainly shifted, and so they'll certainly provide kind of that leading presence on how we evaluate, especially from an evaluation standpoint, because it can be overwhelming with that many people. Certainly, we're doing studies on our roster, both for this current year and the future years, and trying to do everything we can that makes sense. And then obviously there's the financial aspect of it as well. So, no, they're certainly going to be heavily involved, and that's one of the big reasons that we made the changes that we did. And we're going to certainly count on their leadership and their direction, and make sure that the rest of the staff is playing their part.
Thank you for the time.
Thanks. You got it.